One day a professor walked into the classroom carrying a large glass jar. As always, there was a spark of intelligent curiosity in his eyes, and the students looked at him with great interest. The professor placed the jar on the table and brought out several large rocks from underneath, each about the size of a fist. He began placing them into the jar one by one until no more could fit. Then he looked at the class and asked, "Is this jar full now?" The students saw that no more rocks could be added, so most of them nodded and said, "Yes, sir, it's full." The professor smiled and pulled out a bag filled with small pebbles. He poured the pebbles into the jar, gave it a slight shake, and the pebbles filled the gaps between the rocks. Again he asked, "Is it full now?" Some students hesitated, but many replied, "Yes, sir. Now it's really full." Next, the professor brought out a bag of sand and began pouring it into the jar. The grains of sand filled all the remaining spaces between the rocks and pebbles. Once more, he asked, "Is it full now?" This time the whole class responded together, "Probably." Finally, the professor took out a mug of water and poured it into the jar. The water seeped through the sand and filled the jar completely. He smiled and said, "Yes, now the jar is truly full." The professor then explained that the jar represents one's life. The big rocks are the most important things: family, health, deep relationships, and personal dreams and goals. Even if you lose everything else, as long as you have these, your life will still feel complete. The pebbles represent other important things like a career, a house, a car, or a university degree, important, but not as essential as the rocks. The sand represents the small, trivial things, like scrolling through social media or unnecessary online shopping, that don't carry much meaning. He explained that if you fill the jar with sand or pebbles first, there will be no room for the big rocks. The same is true in life: if you spend your time and energy on less important matters, you won't have space left for what truly matters. Your rocks are the pillars of your life. If you don't focus on them first, you may one day realize you've left out the most important parts. The professor's final message was to place your rocks first, as they give your life meaning and foundation. Never let the pebbles and sand take their place, for it is the weight of those rocks that will define the value of your life. Fill your life with things that nourish your soul and fulfill your heart, the rest is just external. When a student asked what the water represented, the professor smiled and said it shows that no matter how busy life gets, there's always room for small moments of joy, like having a cup of tea with a friend.